This conference will now be recorded.
And I'm gonna mute myself. All right, so we're gonna put just me and Sherry, and let's see, let me stick that up here, active cameras, and I'm hoping that Paige can get some of the typing. Um, do you want to do the introduction? And I'll just be the client. Sherry?
All right, everybody, welcome to Forgiveness Wednesday. Yep, I'm here. I'm Sherry Hamilton, coming from Huntsville, Alabama, and I am going to demonstrate what we've been demonstrating every week, several times a week, Dr. Annette Cargioli's technique, emotional polarity technique, which centers around forgiveness for resolving memory issues in the past that have hung people up emotionally, and we use forgiveness to identify what those are. We use forgiveness with the memory so that you can feel good in your life now. And I'm here with Dr. Annette Cargioli today, and she's going to be my client. So you're going to see the inventor, developer of EPT be the client today. Hi, Dr. Annette.
Hello. So I kind of feel like
All
a
right.
stand.
Are you ready to get started with your,
Yes,
you
and
what?
I feel like what I'd like to do is either check me, because I can't think of anything that's like just on the top that I want to work on, but maybe do
Okay.
either
hmm
body scan or just stages of healing and see if that gets us in to something, because I'm sure there's something there.
All right. I'll do both. How about that?
That sounds
And
great.
that would be great. Okay.
Mhm.
So that gets us into the conversation about what's her focus going to be during our session. During the session, I've got an infratonic sound machine on my body to help me with the distance virtual work, helps my body be restored and come to balance during the session. And I think you have one as well, don't you?
I have one
She's
as
got
well.
one too. I learned that from her. I've been doing, yeah. And the first time I took this from you was probably 1994 when I first started learning emotional polarity technique from Dr. Annette. So we take our magnets. I have demonstration magnets. She's got real ones because she's the client, and the red side represents the South Pole. I want you to take the other side, which is either green or blue. Mine are white. Put them against both sides of your head. We're going to do a rapport to begin this session. Green on your head. And then you're going to inhale and exhale 3 times. Squeeze gently on the inhale. And breathe 2. Good deep breaths in and out through your mouth, in your nose. Squeeze in on the inhale and release on the exhale. And then for the second 3, you're going to put a finger at the bridge of your brow and one at the base of your skull in the back. And when you inhale, squeeze and lift up. And exhale and release. And you're going to do that 2 more times. Breathe in and release. And breathe in and release. And then remove the magnets when you're done with your second 3 breaths. Very good. Okay, so Dr. Annette said she wasn't sure of anything. She knew what she wanted to work on. So we're going to do what's called a body scan to start with. And we're also going to check stages of healing. So I'm just going to have you be there while I do the energetic testing on this side. Think
Okay.
about you. Going to go to carotid. Thyroid is showing up. So I'm going to mark on my paper over here what's showing up, and then we'll extrapolate an emotional component, and then get her body points all lined up again. Lung is showing up. That's right lung. Heart. Wow, I'm coming up with more points than I expected. Liver,
I like
red.
my
All of
body
these so
tells me
far
a
are the
story.
red side of the magnet. Your body is telling me a story. Here's another, yeah, I don't want to make it more complicated than it is because I can do that really easily. Descending colon is red as well. Descending intestines, red. Bladder, kidney. I'm good at getting too complex. Right and left kidney. All right. The good thing is these are all going to get cleared up, whatever we come up with for you today. Uh, all right. And now I'm going to figure out priority organ. I got a whole list. I'm going to look on here. I'm going to guess thyroid. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to put a green magnet over your thyroid, which is right there in the middle of your throat. You know where they're at. Okay.
Right.
You hold that there, and then I'll go back and check all of these points that I got to come up, supporting your thyroid with the magnet, with the green magnet.
Was my
And
thyroid
I'm
reactive?
seeing if that takes away all of these.
Was my thyroid reactive to red?
Your thyroid was, yes, everything was reactive to red. So I have you put the green on your thyroid to strengthen it. And then I'm going back to all of these points, and it works. Thyroid is priority organ. So remove the magnet.
Yay.
Woohoo. So
right.
now we're going to figure out, huh?
No, I'm just,
So
that's great.
thyroids are priority organ. We'll use the thyroid and just, yeah. So we're going to use the thyroid as our entry point for your emotional session, and we'll do some emotional work, see what comes up on the, what energy is tied up, negative emotions, that's bringing the thyroid down, and then we'll retest the thyroid at the end. It should be balanced. It always is in EPT. It always is. So, and we'll get stages of healing with this. We'll just go with the thyroid. So I want you to take the red magnet and put it over your thyroid, because this makes the thyroid react. So when she puts the red magnet over her thyroid, I get a weak muscle test on her. Then I'm going to have you hold that magnet there, and also put your hand on your thyroid, on your forehead, sorry. And it gets strong. Take your hand off, move the magnet, take the magnet down. Perfect. And I'm going to ask, is it a who? Yes, it's a who. Is it a friend or family? I'm going through flow charts. I'm going to go through them faster. Original family, it's mother. So mother comes up as the story on this sluggish thyroid. Is that it? The sluggish? No,
No,
the
it's a
thyroid wants to
hyperthyroid.
slow down. So it's a fast thyroid right now.
Yeah, it's an
It's hyper. Yeah, it's hyper. The distress is a 10 on this thyroid priority organ, 0. Stage of healing is 1. The stage of healing is 1. Paying attention is our statement of congruency point, and there's one issue on this. And I've already started with the story. So the story is when she opened up this thyroid, we asked the thyroid, is it a who? It's mother. And then I'm going to look for an emotion, and it's over the heart. So your emotion is abandoned. I feel my mother's abandonment. I feel mother's abandonment with me. So if I just say that right now, is anything pop in your head about why you would feel mother's abandonment with you?
I want to say because she's not here for me now.
Okay, and that actually has a reaction. So I'm going to take that statement and put it in our because. I feel mother's abandonment with me because she's not here for me now. All right, now I'm going to ask, is there an original time you felt a similar abandonment with my muscle test here? Yes, in your life. Is it 0 to 5, 1, 2? Age 2, you felt mother's abandonment with dad. Not with you this time, but mother's feeling abandoned by dad when you're 2 because he's not here for her now. It's the similar reason. So I got to write this down on my... Can you think of anything when you were 2 with the situation between mom and dad, where mother and father, where she would feel like he's not here for her?
You know, they may have been having financial problems. See if it has to do with their financial problems or support, financial support.
Money. Yeah, financial support. Yes,
I mean,
definitely has a charge on that.
I know she told me that.
When you were 2, they have 3 little kids. I know some things about you.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. When you were 2, they had 3 little kids, right? I didn't make that up. I just know.
They had a
All right.
4-year-old
So the
and
financial support, though,
yeah.
a 4-year-old and a
About
6-year-old. So you're the
at 2, I felt my mother felt abandoned by dad. Um, I want to say because he didn't. Is it because she had to go to work? I don't know if she went to work.
no, because he's not there for her somehow,
Okay, so
financially. Maybe his job's not making enough money.
well, find out, see if that's it.
That it works. I'm not sure if that's the exact story. It could be part of the story. Like
So it's
he's working, but it's not enough. That
so
has a
my,
charge on it.
I feel my mom's abandonment from dad. Uh, maybe it's just because he's not here.
That's the simplest one, is he's not here for her. And
Right.
she's having to take care of 3 little kids, and the money's
Right.
skimpy,
And I am the
right?
neediest kid. I'm the neediest because I'm the youngest at this point. So let me think about
All
that.
right.
So I'm feeling mom feels abandoned by dad. Yeah, okay. I'm thinking of like where I might be at age
All
2.
right.
So she feels abandoned
All
because
right.
he's
Let's
not
do
there.
right. All right. So we got a start of this memory picture, and we're going to do the fix it part of emotional polarity technique, where you interrupt that emotional pattern. So for abandonment, mother's abandonment at age 2, I want you to put the green over your heart and the green magnet over your forehead, so that it's going to look like this. I'm going to do 3 breaths in and out while you think about that emotional picture that from history, from your memory. Breathe in what you know about it when you're 2. And breathe. 3 in and outs. And when you're done with your 3rd breath, take the magnets down. And got it? I'm going to ask, is there another emotion on this picture? And there is. And the next emotion is on right lung. And the emotion is grief. It's mother's grief. He's not there for her. Want you to put a magnet. A thought just occurred to me about this grief, possibly, and the
Yeah.
money or whatever. Her grandmother died somewhere in here.
Yeah.
This might have been when her grandmother died. Breathe.
Wait.
Think about mother's grief with dad. He's not there
Okay.
for her. Green, yeah, on the right. Green and green. And 3 breaths in and out. I'm thinking of mother's grief. And breathe. And then remove the magnets. Now, the thought that I had about possibility that she lost her grandmother in here sometime, it would have been an expense to take a trip or to have her kids watched, take her kids to the funeral if that was part of it. I don't know. So
Well,
it could have been more complicated than
Well,
than
and
just living?
what's coming up for me is, as a 2-year-old, I'm very disturbed and distressed about her feeling grief and abandonment. That I mean, I'm feeling her grief and abandonment, but I'm very distressed. Like, I am concerned and distressed about her state of mind.
All right. Wow. Yeah, so I think, yeah, some things were really feel like they were bugging her a lot, like it was heavy on her mind. And I think it was bigger than just her current little family. Yeah, it's like they could do okay, but they
Well,
had more than just their little family.
well,
She
and
had her,
I'm also thinking that um, that it because I'm so very concerned about how she feels. It feels like a really big moment, and I got a lot of emotion on this. I'm kind of surprised, but like it feels like a really big moment
good.
that um, that I that I have to give up my needs because she can't handle me having needs. So it feels like that. Like I have, because she is so distressed, I can't have any problems. I can't have any problems. I have to be okay all the time.
All right. So while you're holding that thought, we're going to go down that what you're talking about. I asked if there were more emotions. There's not. We've got the two emotions. It's a phase 1 trauma for you. So I want you to hold the green magnet over your right brain and the red magnet over your left brain for phase 1 trauma. And we're going to start the forgiveness statements, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I acknowledge this intense emotion I feel now.
I acknowledge this intense
You
emotion
can repeat after.
I feel now.
Uh, I feel now my
I
mother's
feel now.
abandonment and grief from my age 2.
My mother's abandonment and grief from my age 2.
When I felt her distress,
When I felt her distress,
uh, it felt like mine.
it felt like mine.
I believed I had to give up my needs.
I I believed that I had to give up my needs.
And breathe. Yeah, I forgive myself for believing.
I forgive myself for believing.
I have to give up my needs
I have to give up my needs
because she can't handle my needs.
because she can't handle my needs. Because no one can handle my needs.
Yeah. I forgive my 2-year-old self
I forgive my 2-year-old self
for feeling like all of my support and survival
for feeling like all of my support and survival
was in distress and disturbed.
was in distress and disturbed.
and would always feel abandoned and grieving like this.
and would always feel abandoned and grieving like this.
And breathe. I forgive my 2-year-old self.
I forgive my 2-year-old self.
Yeah, you can tap your midline of your brain however you feel like you want to do there. For believing it was all my fault.
For believing it was all my fault and my responsibility.
And breathe. Yeah. I forgive my 2-year-old self.
I forgive my 2-year-old self.
For having such a strong connection with my mother.
For having such a strong connection with my mom.
That this moment of grief and abandonment in her
That this moment of grief and abandonment in her
was all I could feel.
was all I could feel.
When my dad wasn't there for her.
When my dad wasn't there for her.
Yeah. And breathe. I forgive my 2-year-old self.
I forgive my 2-year-old self.
For holding on to this big moment of abandonment and grief.
For holding on to this big moment of abandonment and grief.
As my justification
As my justification
to give up my needs
to give up my needs
and to just quit trying.
and to just quit trying.
Trying, yeah, and breathe. I forgive my 2-year-old self
I forgive my 2-year-old self
for needing my mother's attention,
for needing my mother's attention,
but deciding to give up trying.
but it was deciding that she needed me to not try. She needed me to give that up.
She
The
needed me to not
family
try.
needed me to give that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. They needed me. All right. So I forgive my 2-year-old self for
I forgive my 2-year-old self
feeling the power of my mother's needs.
for feeling the power of my mother's needs and her high
Needs.
distress.
Yeah. That uh, I valued in giving up my choice,
That I
well, my
valued,
needs, that I valued in my,
that
when
I
I
valued,
gave up my needs.
that I valued when I gave up my
My,
needs. Um,
my, my
yeah,
needs for her
my
attention,
needs for her attention, for um, I
Tension.
want to say my
Um,
needs for her to be happy, for her to be okay, for her to
yeah.
be, that's it, for her to be okay, for her to be happy and okay and not at a high level of distress. Yeah.
Mm, take a breath. hmm I forgive my mother for showing up unhappy and in great distress.
I forgive my mother for showing up in high distress, unhappy, feeling abandoned and deeply sad. I forgive my mom
Right.
for
Yeah.
showing up at this high level of distress that I didn't understand and that really concerned me as a 2-year-old.
Yeah. Mm.
Hmm.
I forgive my 2-year-old self for believing I this was too much for me.
I forgive my 2-year-old self for believing I can't handle this. This is too much for me. I
I
can't
can't.
handle a
Yeah,
mom
it's too much for her. It's
who's
yeah.
distressed like this. It's too much.
Yeah.
Oh,
I forgive my
I
2-year-old
want,
self for
I,
taking on. Oh,
I
go
forgive
ahead.
my, I wanted to say, I forgive my 2-year-old self for believing that at age 2, I was supposed to have the skills to handle that. Yeah, that feels better. Okay.
Mm,
Sorry.
yeah. I forgive the disturbance of this pain memory
I forgive the disturbance of this pain memory
for coming up in my consciousness now
for coming up in my consciousness now
when I'm uh, wanting to be somewhere else
when I'm wanting to be somewhere else
with the people I love
with the people I love
uh, and feel the happiness and togetherness.
and feel the happiness and togetherness.
Yeah, and breathe. Mm.
I forgive my 2-year-old self
I
for
forgive my
believing
2-year-old self
I forgive my 2-year-old self
uh, for believing the financial stress and distress was mine.
for believing the financial support stress was something I had to handle at age 2.
Too. There you go. Thanks for helping me out. The statement. Forgiveness. I forgive my 2-year-old self for believing
I forgive my 2-year-old self for believing
that my mom has to change before I can.
that my mom has to change before I can, or that I have to um, hold space for all of this distress and vulnerability and abandonment and grief. That I have to hold space for that because I can control it in me, but I can't control it in her. So I
Her,
constantly
yeah.
carry it as a way of resolving this distress
Mm,
I couldn't handle. Yeah. Oh, that feels
mm.
better. Yeah. Mm.
I forgive myself for letting go of carrying this as a way to handle it.
I give, what was it? I forgive or give? I give
I for,
myself, I forgive myself.
I want to start with I forgive myself for letting this go.
I
For
forgive
letting this
myself
go.
for, well, I'm going to say for believing that letting it go, this energy I absorbed and have carried and held space for my mother, this unexplainable, unresolvable distress in her. Um, I forgive myself for believing that if I let that go, if I really just release it, then it won't be good. Something bad will happen.
Yeah, I won't get, yeah. Uh, I
I won't
forgive
have any
myself for
connection at
believing,
all. That's it. I won't have any
yeah,
connection at all to
all
get
right.
what I need. I won't have any connection. Wow.
Yeah, I forgive myself for using the abandonment and grief to get what I want.
Yeah, I forgive myself for believing abandonment and grief is necessary, that holding this distress level in my body, mind, and spirit is necessary for me to get what I really wanted from her, what I really want in
Yeah,
relationships. That's it. What I really want in relationships, what I really want financially, what I really want in life. Yeah. Mhm.
I say yes to what I really want in relationships and in life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I say yes to what I really want in relationships and life.
That's
Yeah.
safe and good and prosperous for me.
Safe and good and uh, enough financial security that gives me freedom to be more financially generous to people I love, um, to be,
To
yeah,
have more time with people I love.
yeah, to have more time with people I love, to have relationships with people I love um, that doesn't leave us feeling abandoned or
Yeah.
sad. Yeah, and
Yeah.
and I want to say, and not knowing, yeah, feeling responsible for things that in the other person that we can't change. Oh, that feels
Yeah.
good.
I thank my mom for showing up this way in my past. I thank my mom and me for showing up this way in my past.
I thank my mom and me for showing up this way in the
For
past,
showing up this way in my past
for showing up this way in my past.
so that I could, my past, so that I could feel and know forgiveness in the change,
So I could feel and know forgiveness in the change,
in the changes
in the changes
uh, that helped me
that helped
find
me
happiness
find happiness
and yeah, and
Reconciliation
create the love with my mother's love.
with my mother and create happiness and
Yeah,
reconciliation with
it's my
my mother's love that was always there,
love. Yeah.
even without this level of distress. My mother's love was there, and even with it.
Yeah.
I want to say
I say yes to feeling safe and. Oh, go ahead.
I forgive myself for all the ways I have perpetrated this pattern in my relationships with my siblings, my children, my spouse. Um, I forgive myself, and I forgive myself for blaming my mother
Mm-hmm.
for my perpetration of this pattern. And yeah, oh, that feels better. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I forgive myself for setting myself up in situations.
I forgive myself for setting myself up in situations,
Consciously or unconsciously,
consciously or unconsciously,
to justify the old pattern of abandonment and grief.
to justify the old pattern of abandonment and grief that no longer serves me, that just that that
Yeah,
separates me from everything I really want. Uh,
yeah. And that sets me free
and it sets me
to
free
know,
to know
and experience
to know and
that I can
experience.
handle my needs. I can handle
I
this.
want to say that I can handle my needs, and I also don't have to handle all my needs. I can rely on my Heavenly Father. My divine connection was there for me
Mm-hmm.
when I was 2, and my divine connection is there for me now, even when
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I can't handle it, and even when I don't want to handle it and I don't know how to handle it. I don't have to get what I want and what I really need.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that was good. Okay.
I'm safe and at peace.
I am safe and
I'm
at
safe and at
peace.
peace
Hmm. I'm safe and at peace
without this pattern,
without this pattern,
without this old pattern.
without this old pattern.
When distress,
When
when
distress,
distress shows up in my life,
when
shows up in my life.
when distress shows up in my life, or when someone I'm really close to is really distressed, um, and people that I love, my closest family members, don't have to show up in distress for me to know what to do, for me to relive this pattern, for me to feel connected to my mom. Yeah.
Yeah. Or connected as a mother in my family.
Yeah. Or connected as a mother in my family.
My family now.
My family
Yeah.
now.
I choose to raise my level of acceptance
I choose to raise my level of acceptance
to any resistance I feel or cannot feel,
to any resistance I feel or cannot feel.
for completeness,
for completeness,
joy and relaxation,
joy and relaxation,
safety and security.
safety and security. I'm like finding this kind of ironic that I'm clearing in my throat, which is the thyroid, and that's where we started. So there's stuff shedding off my thyroid.
Oh, thanks for reminding me.
Yeah, just
With
kind of pointing that out.
with knowing and expressing my needs.
With
Yeah,
knowing
with knowing and expressing my needs.
my needs.
Uh, my closest relationships
My closest relationships
with attention and care,
with attention and care,
and getting through tough times and happy times together.
getting through distressful times and peaceful times, happy times, easy times with each other.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to take the magnets down. Do you have any more statements you want to say?
Now I'm feeling
Ooh,
rather good. Ah,
yay. So if any of you guys out there were ever concerned about working on Dr. Annette herself, you can see how easy she makes it by filling in the statements for herself. She's the one who wrote this technique and she gets that piece together really quickly. So I really love that. All right. You made it a slide, easy slide for me. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go back and check your thyroid.
okay.
All right, so I want you to do like the green over your
No.
thyroid first, and I'm going to do a
Okay.
test. Put the green. We're going to do both. Green, strong. Now turn the red over and see if the red is also strong. Yeah, it's also strong. So take it down.
Yes, thank you for. So for those of you
You
who
can
may
move
not
the magnet.
be aware,
Just stress on the thyroid.
she just balanced out an imbalance in my thyroid. So she was using my body to identify the story that was causing an imbalance in my thyroid and basically my overall health and my physical being. So some of you, we haven't seen this on the remote session, so this is a great example of that. And thanks for doing that, Sherry.
That was so amazing because your thyroid, well, the current stress in whatever is going on in your life was dragging your thyroid down, making it feel heavier. And so, yeah, you're so welcome. That was amazing.
It was making it crazy.
Amazing.
It was hyperactive, like a hyperthyroid. I'm the perfect example.
Okay, so I want to tell you just in I've been doing the testing on the side about where you are in your stages of healing and such.
Okay.
And just in these last couple of comments, the numbers are going up because I've tested twice. So the distress on your thyroid is down to 0 on a scale of 1 to 10. It started at 10, distress on thyroid down to 0. Your elation on the good feeling showing up with the happiness and the ability to cope with things and create new things, feel good in relationships, +5 on a scale of 1 to 10. It's been going up. And then stage of healing went from 6 to 7, just as you were settling in with your comments. That's amazing.
Well, and just to let you know how
That was really fun.
how spot on Sherry is. There were some conflicts that I've had with one of my kids, and I didn't want to mention it because I didn't want him to feel like he was being on display, or you know what I mean. I was just trying to honor his space, and all those statements and it made me realize that where I have a hang up in that relationship is when that child is very upset, I feel I don't do anything right. I'm like the 2-year-old with my mom who's distressed. I can't handle it. And so all that is like a mess. So you were spot on with something that has kind of been in my mind, and I didn't go there because I thought, let's let the body tell the story, and the body did tell the story. And so I'm going to tell you that just
Yay!
thinking about that relationship when that child gets upset at me or with his life or whatever, I feel so much more compassionate and peaceful. I don't feel like judgy and preachy and mothery. I feel a lot more compassion, and I feel like um, I don't have to take it on. It's a good feeling that I get to
That is
give
so,
instead
that
of take.
is.
So thank you.
And that's one of the magic parts. Yeah, you're welcome. One of the magic parts about EPT that you knew from the beginning and that we keep learning again is that those dots get put together in correlating relationships, and it just improves our ability to show up with love and goodness.
Right. And in showing up with love and goodness, your health, your relationships, your experience in life and the way you spend your days is the way God always wanted it for you. So yeah, I don't
So
think
true.
there is not a better time in history than now for forgiveness and what God has taught me about how to use this technique in the last 30 years. There is not a better time, and I'm loving it. So yeah, thanks. So I'm gonna put.
Thanks for teaching me and so many others.
Oh wow. All right. So if you're new on this call, and I mean, there is a book called The Forgiveness Doctor that you can get on Amazon. And let me get my active cameras up, everyone. So if people want to see, wow, whew, um, that was great. I'm just getting people's faces up here. I'm gonna stop the recording. Wow.